Journey has a way of testing you through people. Not storms, not earthquakes, not hurricanes. People. The kind who smile in your face, but secretly hope you fail. The kind who poke at your weaknesses just to watch you react. And the reality is, most people don't even care how much weight you're carrying. They just want to see if you'll drop it. I've learned something. Your greatest power isn't how loud you can shout back. It's how still you can stand. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about being so unshakable that their words bounce off like rain on steel. When you stop giving people the power to disturb your calm, you start living. You realize the real enemy was never their opinion. It was your reaction to it. So today I'm going to share with you the coldest rule for mental power, a rule so powerful, so clear that once you live by it, you'll walk through the noise untouched. You'll stop flinching, you'll stop explaining, you'll stop being bothered. Because real strength is silence with a spine. Most people live their entire lives trapped in a cycle of reacting to everything and everyone around them. The moment someone says something disrespectful, they explode. The instant someone ignores them, they feel hurt. They give strangers, co-workers, family members, and even complete enemies the power to command their mood, their day, and sometimes even their destiny. But when you learn to detach emotionally, you're not becoming cold-hearted. You're becoming wise. You start to understand that not every comment needs a comeback, and not every insult deserves your breath. Detachment is not about shutting off your humanity, it's about protecting your energy from being drained by things that don't deserve it. You begin to see that reacting emotionally is a gift you give to the person trying to manipulate you because the moment they see you rattled, they know they've won. And when you respond strategically, instead you take the steering wheel back. You decide the timing, the tone, and the weight of your words. That command is the foundation of mental power because no one can drag you into a battle you didn't choose. Detaching emotionally means mastering the art of pausing before you respond. Think about it. Most regrets in journey don't come from what we planned. They come from what we blurted out in the heat of the moment. The pause is your armor. It gives you time to analyze the situation without the fog of emotion clouding your judgment. When you pause, you gain clarity. You can see whether this moment even requires a response or if silence will speak louder than any argument. Strategic responses don't just protect your dignity, they shift the balance of power. People expect quick reactions because they want to command your rhythm. But when you slow the tempo, you make them dance to your beat instead. Detachment gives you the upper hand because you're not playing into their emotional traps. You're standing above them, watching the scene with calm eyes while they're busy losing composure. This kind of emotional self-command doesn't come naturally. You have to train it like a muscle. It starts by recognizing your triggers. Who are the people that seem to get under your skin the fastest? What kind of words or actions tend to make you see red? Awareness is the first step, because once you see the pattern, you can prepare for it. Detachment is a preemptive skill. You don't wait until you're already in the fire to decide how to handle the heat. You train yourself ahead of time to remain calm. You rehearse in your mind. If they say this, I'll breathe. I'll think. I'll choose my words like a scalpel, not a hammer. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care too much about your calm to let it be at the mercy of someone else's mood swings. The more you practice this, the more you notice the world slowing down around you. And the more you notice your default, the more you notice your thinking, the more you notice the world slowing down around you. Situations that used to set you off now pass by without shaking your foundation. One of the most powerful shifts happens when you stop taking things personally. People's words are a reflection of their own state of mind, not your worth. When someone lashes out, it often has nothing to do with you. They're just bleeding on whoever is close enough to get hit. Emotional detachment teaches you to step back and observe without absorbing. You can listen without letting it pierce your heart. You can see their rage without becoming affected by it. This isn't weakness. It's emotional intelligence at its highest level. It's the ability to see that every action has a root cause, and that root is often in their own pain, insecurity, or frustration. Once you understand that, you realize there's no need to carry their poison inside you. Strategic responses come naturally when you refuse to internalize what was never meant for your soul in the first place. When you operate from a place of detachment, you start making decisions based on facts, not feelings. Feelings are temporary waves, and if you ride them too fast, you'll crash. Facts are the steady ground you stand on. Someone might accuse you of something false. Your emotions will want to defend yourself immediately, but your strategy will say, wait, gather the evidence, respond when the moment serves you best. This is where patience becomes your greatest ally. Your silence, your measured tone, and your calculated words all send a message that you are not an easy target. People who seek to provoke will quickly realize they're dealing with someone who doesn't break under pressure. And that's the beauty of detachment. It's not just a defense mechanism. It's a message to the world that you are untouchable in ways they can't manipulate. A strategic response often comes in fewer words than an emotional one. You don't need to explain yourself endlessly to someone who isn't trying to understand you. You don't need to justify every action to people committed to misunderstanding you. Detachment teaches you that brevity can be more powerful than speeches. A single calm statement delivered without raised voice or racing heartbeat can cut deeper than 100 emotional outbursts. Why? Because calmness in the face of provocation is unsettling. It's a display of command that others can't shake. The person trying to get a rise out of you begins to question themselves. Why didn't it work? That's when you've won without even stepping into their arena. Your command over your emotions becomes a mirror that exposes their lack of command over theirs. Detachment also frees you from the need to win every argument. You realize that not every battle is worth fighting, and sometimes the greatest victory is walking away without a scratch. People with true mental power know that attention is currency, and they won't spend it on situations that don't move them forward. Responding strategically means you pick your battles with precision. You save your energy for moments that truly matter, where your words and actions can create real impact. This is not about ego, it's about efficiency. Your time, your calm, your concentration, these are treasures. And you don't throw treasures into the mud just to prove a point. Every time you walk away from something that could have consumed your day, you're proving to yourself that your self-command is stronger than your ego. Another thing detachment gives you is the ability to see the long game. Most emotional reactions are short-term plays. They make you feel good for a second, but cost you in the end. Strategic responses, however, are investments. You're not just thinking about this moment. You're thinking about your reputation, your calm, your goals. Sometimes the smartest move is to let someone believe they've won while you quietly position yourself for a greater victory down the line. This is where emotional detachment turns into real journey power. It allows you to think like a chess master instead of a street fighter. You're not swinging wildly at every insult. You're moving with purpose toward the outcome that truly matters. And when you do speak or act, it's so deliberate and precise that it changes the entire trajectory of the situation. In the end, detaching emotionally and responding strategically transforms you from being a reactive participant in journey to a composed architect of your own reality. You stop being someone who is tossed around by other people's moods, and you start being the one who sets the tone. People will notice the shift. They'll feel it in the way you carry yourself, the way you choose your words, the way you refuse to be pulled into chaos. And while they may never say it out loud, they'll respect it, even doubt it. Because when you no longer give anyone the power to disturb your calm, you become the most dangerous kind of person, the one who can't be controlled through emotions, the one who moves only when they decide it's time and never because someone else pushed them to. That's the kind of mental power that changes everything. Most people underestimate the power hidden in a single pause. They think strength is in how quickly you can clap back, how fast you can defend yourself, how instantly you can prove your point. But true strength lives in restraint. It's in the space between what happened and how you respond. That space is where wisdom is born. When you master the pause, you stop giving people the satisfaction of watching you lose command. You make them wait. You make them wonder. You make them question whether they even got to you at all. And in that waiting, you gain something far more valuable than winning an argument. You gain command over yourself. Pausing is not hesitation. It's precision. It's you standing at the edge of a storm and deciding if you even need to step in. Because sometimes the most powerful move is not to swing back, but to let the other person's noise die in the echo of your silence. The pause gives you clarity, and clarity is dangerous to those who live off your reactions. When you pause, you are buying yourself time to see the reality of the moment. Emotions are loud. They cloud your vision, make you believe the heat of the moment is the whole story. But in the stillness of a pause, you see the cracks. You see their motives. You see whether this is really worth your energy or if it's just bait to pull you off your road. The pause lets you take a step back from the fire and decide if this is where you want to burn. People expect you to react fast because they want to set the pace. The moment you slow that pace, you take the steering wheel. Now you're the one controlling the tempo, and they're the ones trying to keep up. Pausing also robs the other person of their script. Many people who provoke you have already imagined exactly how you'll respond. They've rehearsed it in their minds, prepared their counterattack, fed their ego with the thought of seeing you flustered. But when you don't give them what they expect, when you take that pause instead, you shatter the rhythm they built. They're left with a silence they don't know how to fill, and in that silence, their confidence crumbles. You're showing them that your mind is not an open field for their games. It's a locked fortress. You respond when you decide and not a second before. That kind of composure isn't just noticed, it's respected and sometimes even feared. The pause is not just for the big moments, it's a self-command you practice daily. It's holding your tongue when someone cuts you off in traffic. It's breathing before responding to a rude email. It's letting a few heartbeats pass before answering a question meant to corner you. Small pauses in daily journey train your mind for the bigger storms. They build the muscle of self-writ, so when the high-pressure moment comes, you don't crack. You've already conditioned yourself to think before you speak, to evaluate before you act. Mastering the pause is like sharpening a blade. You're not just carrying a weapon. You're making sure it's precise enough to cut through nonsense without wasting motion. Pausing gives you the advantage of perspective. It lets you see the bigger picture beyond the flare-up in front of you. Without a pause, you might blow up a small misunderstanding into a lasting conflict. With a pause, you can decide whether this is even worth your time or whether it's a distraction pulling you away from your real goals. You realize not every battle needs to be fought and not every word needs to be answered. That's where true mental power shows itself, not in how difficult you hit, but in knowing when not to swing at all. The pause teaches you that silence can be a weapon, a shield, and sometimes even a mirror that forces the other person to face themselves. When you pause, you create space for strategy. You give yourself time to gather your thoughts, choose your words, and craft your delivery. This isn't about stalling, it's about precision. A rush reaction is like throwing stones in the dark, hoping you hit something. A calculated response is like firing an arrow directly at the target after you've had time to aim. Pausing doesn't just protect you from regret, it makes your words carry more weight. People listen more closely when they sense you're not speaking just to fill the air, but because you've chosen each word with purpose. That intentionality commands respect in any room. The beauty of mastering the pause is that it removes the element of surprise against you. People can't predict what you'll do because you don't operate on impulse. You've trained yourself to think, to breathe, to weigh the cost before paying with your energy. This unpredictability is power. It keeps others from feeling they can push your buttons at will. They may try once or twice, but they'll learn quickly that you're not someone who dances to anyone else's tune. NIT 909, NIT 911. You move on your timing, and that timing is dictated by thought, not emotion. That's the quiet kind of strength that makes people tread carefully around you. Pausing also allows emotion to settle before it shapes your decision. Rage fades, hurt softens, confusion clears. But if you speak or act too soon, you lock yourself into a road you might regret. The pause is the filter that keeps your worst impulses from making permanent moves. It's the self-command of letting the dust settle before deciding which way to walk. People who lack this skill often live in the chaos of damage command, always apologizing, always explaining, always trying to fix what they broke in a moment of uncontrolled reaction. But those who master the pause rarely have to clean up messes because they prevent them before they happen. In the end, the pause is the bridge between reaction and response, between chaos and command. It's not about being slow, it's about being deliberate. It's the refusal to be dragged into someone else's storm until you've checked the weather and decided if it's worth stepping outside. Mastering the pause turns you into a different kind of presence, one that's calm, composed, and almost impossible to rattle. And when people realize they can't make you jump, they stop trying to pull the strings. That's when you've truly taken back your power, one silent moment at a time. Your mind is the most valuable real estate you will ever own. And yet, most people leave the doors wide open. They let anyone walk in, friends, strangers, critics, liars, manipulators, and scatter their opinions, doubts, and negativity across the floor. Protecting your inner world means you stop giving free rent to voices that drain you. It means you become intentional about who gets access to your thoughts, your emotions, and your dreams. You can't build a fortress of strength if you're letting every passing word chip away at the walls. The reality is, you can't command what people say to you, but you can command whether it gets planted inside you. Every time you absorb someone's negativity without questioning it, you're letting weeds grow in the garden of your mind. Protecting your inner world is about guarding that garden with everything you've got. It's deciding that calm is not just something you hope for, it's something you defend. You can't expect to live with concentration if you're constantly letting the noise of the world drown out your own voice. That's why you must learn to filter what you consume. Every conversation, every headline, every social media post, these are seeds. Some will grow into wisdom, others into anxiety. Protecting your inner world means you get to decide which seeds get planted. You don't have to watch every video that pops up. You don't have to listen to every rumor. You don't have to respond to every accusation. People will always try to pull you into their drama, but you are not required to attend every battle you're invited to. This is where boundaries become your armor. When you set boundaries on what gets access to your mind, you start to see how much lighter journey becomes. There will be people who call you distant, cold, or arrogant when you start guarding your space. That's because they benefited from your lack of boundaries. They were used to unloading their chaos into your lap, knowing you'd listen, knowing you'd carry it for them. But when you protect your inner world, you stop being a dumping ground. You stop being the one who absorbs everyone else's storms at the expense of your own sunshine. This is not cruelty, it's wisdom. You can't pour from an empty cup. And if you keep letting people drain you, you'll wake up one day with nothing left for yourself. Protecting your inner world isn't selfish, it's survival. You also have to be aware that not every voice in your head is your own. Sometimes it's the echo of an old criticism, a past rejection, or a person who once told you you weren't enough. If you don't protect your inner world, those echoes become your reality. They replay in your mind until you start living as if they were facts. But when you guard your inner space, you test those voices. You recognize them for what they are. Leftover noise from people who didn't see your worth, and you replace them with words that strengthen you. Words that align with your vision, not your fears. Protecting your inner world is also about curating your self-talk, because the most dangerous intruder is often the one already living inside your head. One of the hardest parts of protecting your inner world is learning to be okay with being misunderstood. People will twist your boundaries into insults. They'll say you've changed and they'll mean it as a bad thing. They'll tell stories about you, create their own narratives, and expect you to defend yourself. But when you truly protect your inner space, you stop chasing every false rumor. You realize you don't have to explain your calm to people committed to misunderstanding it. That silence isn't weakness. It's the refusal to hand them the keys to your mental state. Because every time you rush to defend yourself, you're opening the gates again, letting their words dictate your concentration. Protecting your inner world also means choosing your environment wisely. The places you go, the people you spend time with, the energy you allow around you, these shape your mental landscape. If you surround yourself with chaos, don't be surprised when you can't find calm. If you're always in rooms full of gossip, negativity will eventually stain your thoughts. But if you intentionally create an environment that reflects your values, one filled with encouragement, vision, and accountability, you'll notice how naturally your mind starts to thrive. You'll see how much stronger you feel when your surroundings feed you instead of draining you. Another way to protect your inner world is to limit your exposure to comparison. We live in a time where it's easy to measure yourself against curated images of other people's lives. But comparison is poison to your calm. It makes you doubt your progress, resent your journey, and chase things you don't even want. Guarding your inner space means reminding yourself daily that your road is yours alone. You can appreciate someone else's achievement without letting it steal your joy. You can celebrate others while staying rooted in your own lane. This self-command protects you from chasing illusions and keeps your concentration locked on your own growth. It's crucial to understand that protecting your inner world is not a one-time act. It's a daily choice. Every morning you decide who gets your attention, what gets your energy, and what thoughts you allow to stay. You train yourself to identify when something is pulling you away from your center. The more consistent you are, the more natural it becomes over time. You won't even have to think about it. You'll automatically recognize when something doesn't belong in your mental space, and you'll shut the door without hesitation. This is how calm becomes your default setting instead of something you have to fight for every day. When you protect your inner world, you stop being a product of your environment and start becoming the architect of it. You live by design, not by default. You decide what influences you, what inspires you, and what challenges you in a healthy way. And because you no longer let just anyone into your mental home, you find that the voices left inside are the ones that build you up, not tear you down. This is the essence of real mental power. Not just winning battles on the outside, but keeping your inner space so powerful, so guarded that no one can shake it from within. Most people live their lives pouring their energy into everything that pulls at them without ever stopping to ask, does this even deserve me? They get caught up in arguments that lead nowhere, spend hours trying to convince people who've already made up their minds, and give their attention to distractions that have no impact on their future. The reality is, energy is the most valuable currency you have. You can get money back, you can get opportunities back, but once your energy is spent, it's gone. Redefining what deserves your energy is about realizing that not everything that asks for your attention is worthy of it. You stop chasing every comment, every misunderstanding, every conflict, and you start choosing where your concentration goes, like your journey depends on it. Because it does. Because when you guard your energy with this kind of intention, you start to see how much stronger, calmer, and more unstoppable you become. The first shift in redefining what deserves your energy is understanding the difference between what matters and what's just noise. Not everything urgent is crucial. People will try to make their emergencies your emergencies, but you have the right to say no. If something doesn't align with your purpose, your values, or your growth, it's just noise. And here's the thing, noise can be addictive. We get so used to being involved in every drama, every trending conversation, every minor problem that it feels strange to step back. But stepping back is the only way to reclaim your concentration. When you stop feeding the noise, you suddenly have room to invest in the things that actually matter. That's when your energy starts building something real instead of being wasted on battles that were never yours to fight. See, there's a trap people fall into when they think their worth is measured by how much they do for everyone else they believe. If they're not constantly available, constantly fixing things, constantly giving, they're failing. But redefining what deserves your energy means you break that cycle. You start asking yourself, is this my responsibility or am I just trying to feel needed? Because there's a big difference between helping out of purpose and helping out of habit. Habit will drain you. Purpose will fuel you. If you keep giving your energy to things that don't move you closer to your goals, you'll eventually burn out with nothing left for yourself. And when you have nothing left for yourself, you can't truly help anyone else. One of the most powerful changes that happens when you redefine what deserves your energy is that you stop arguing with people who don't want to understand. Some people don't need explanations. They want arguments. They're not asking questions to learn. They're asking to test, to drain, to provoke. And if you're not careful, you'll spend hours or days trying to convince them of something they have no intention of accepting. That's wasted energy. When you recognize this, you learn to walk away from pointless debates. You save your words for ears that want to hear, and you stop throwing pearls to those who just want to trample them. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. Redefining what deserves your energy also means knowing when to let go of the past. Regret, resentment, replaying old conversations. These are some of the biggest thieves of mental power. Every time you revisit an old wound, you pour more energy into something that cannot be changed. You keep feeding it and it keeps taking from you. But when you cut that tie and decide this no longer gets my attention, you free yourself. That energy can now be used for healing, for building, for living. You can't walk into your future if you're still holding on to the baggage of yesterday. Letting go isn't easy, but it's the most powerful act of energy protection you'll ever make. Another key part of this shift is recognizing that not every opportunity is worth your time. Just because something is available doesn't mean it's valuable. People will invite you into projects, partnerships, and situations that seem tempting in the moment, but have nothing to do with your long-term vision. If you say yes to everything, you'll quickly find yourself spread too thin to excel at anything. Redefining what deserves your energy means learning to say no, even when it feels uncomfortable. No to things that distract you. No to things that drain you. No to things that pull you off your road. Every no to the wrong thing is a yes to the right thing. It's also crucial to remember that where your attention goes, your journey follows. If you constantly give your energy to problems, your journey will feel like a series of problems. If you give it to progress, your journey will become a series of victories. You have to train your concentration like a muscle. Self-command it to look towards solutions instead of spiraling into frustration. This doesn't mean you ignore challenges. It means you face them without letting them consume you. You give your energy to fixing what can be fixed and moving on from what can't. That shift alone will save you from years of unnecessary stress. You'll also notice that when you start protecting your energy, you naturally attract different people. The ones who thrive on chaos will fall away because they no longer have a place to plug into your power. In their place will come people who respect your boundaries, who match your concentration, who encourage your growth instead of draining it. And when your circle changes, your energy multiplies. You're no longer wasting it on proving yourself to the wrong people. You're using it to push forward with the right ones. This is the invisible reward of redefining what deserves your energy. The people and opportunities that come when you make space for them. Redefining what deserves your energy is not a one-time decision. It's a way of journey. Every day you'll face choices about where to place your concentration, and every choice will either strengthen you or weaken you. The difference is that now you'll be deliberate. You'll stop spending your days reacting to whatever comes your way and start spending them on the things that matter most. And as you do, you'll notice something powerful. Journey doesn't feel as heavy anymore. Not because your challenges disappeared, but because you stopped feeding the ones that weren't worth fighting in the first place. That's when you realize your energy is more than just fuel. It's your freedom. Most people hear an insult and instantly feel their blood pressure rise. They take it as a personal attack, a wound to their pride, a reason to defend themselves at all costs. But if you want real mental power, you have to shift the way you see those moments. An insult is only as powerful as the meaning you give it. And if you learn to strip away the sting and search for the seed inside it, you'll find something far more valuable than revenge. You'll find insight. And every insult is information. It tells you something about the person saying it, about their insecurities, about the way they see the world, and sometimes it even tells you something about yourself, something you might not have noticed before. Turning insults into insight isn't about ignoring disrespect. It's about refusing to let it own you. It's choosing to mine for gold in the dirt instead of just standing there angry that someone threw dirt in the first place. The first step in this transformation is emotional distance. When an insult comes your way, your instinct will be to react, to clap back, to prove them wrong, to match their energy. But in that reaction, you lose the chance to learn. Instead, you need to create space between their words and your emotions. That space is where your mind can examine what was said without the heat of rage clouding the reality. Sometimes the insult will have no reality in it at all. It's just venom, and it tells you more about their bitterness than about your worth. But other times, there may be a grain of reality hidden in the delivery, a small area where you can grow. If you're too busy being offended, you'll miss that opportunity. Detachment lets you see clearly, and clarity is the first step to turning pain into power. You also have to understand that insults are often mirrors. People project onto you what they can't face in themselves. A jealous person will call you arrogant. An insecure person will call you weak. A lazy person will call you obsessed. They'll disguise their self-reflection as criticism so they don't have to deal with their own flaws. When you recognize this, you stop absorbing their words like their gospel. You realize their insult says more about the lens they're looking through than about the reality of who you are. This awareness turns a would-be wound into a shield. Instead of asking, why would they say that about me? You start asking, what does this say about them? That question alone can save you from carrying someone else's baggage in your mind. Turning insults into insight also means using them as fuel. Every time someone doubts you, every time they underestimate you, every time they try to belittle you, you have a choice. You can waste your energy fighting them in the moment, or you can channel that energy into proving them wrong through your results. The best clapback is achievement. Not the kind you post about to make them jealous, but the kind that speaks for itself. When you've moved so far forward, they can't even see you any. When you take an insult and let it light a fire under you, you turn their negativity into your momentum. They meant to hold you back, but they end up pushing you forward. That's the kind of transformation that not only protects your calm, but also accelerates your growth. Sometimes the insight is about timing and relationships. If you keep hearing the same type of insult from multiple sources, it might be time to reflect. Are you surrounding yourself with people who value you? Are you putting yourself in environments that recognize your worth? Or are you tolerating spaces where tearing others down is the norm? Not all insults are worth dissecting for personal growth. Some are simply signs that you're in the wrong room. And if that's the case, the best insight you can take is this: it's time to leave. Protecting your energy means knowing when to walk away from the environments that normalize disrespect. That awareness is as valuable as any lesson about yourself. Another layer of insight comes from noticing your reaction. When someone insults you, what emotion flares up first? Is it rage? Is it embarrassment? Is it insecurity? That immediate emotional reaction can be a clue to an unhealed wound. Maybe the insult hits harder than it should because it's poking at something you secretly believe about yourself. That's not a reason to feel ashamed. It's an opportunity. That sting is your mind's way of showing you where you still need to build self-worth. Once you identify that area, you can work on it until no one's words have the power to pierce it again. In this way, even the ugliest insults become maps to the parts of yourself that need the most strengthening. It's also worth remembering that not all insults are deliberate. Sometimes people speak carelessly without realizing the impact of their words. If you immediately assume malicious intent, you might miss a chance to gain honest feedback. This doesn't mean you should tolerate disrespect, but it does mean you should weigh intent before deciding how to respond. If the words were careless, but the heart was clean, there might be something useful to take from it without building unnecessary resentment. Turning insults into insight means you train yourself to listen with both ears and both eyes, hearing the words, but also reading the heart behind them. There's also an element of inner strength here. The more you train yourself to turn insults into insight, the less they affect you over time. They lose their ability to shake your confidence because you've reframed them in your mind. Instead of seeing them as attacks, you see them as opportunities. Opportunities to learn about yourself, about others, about the dynamics of human behavior. Insults become data, and data doesn't hurt you. It helps you make better decisions. This reframing turns what used to be an emotional trigger into a source of personal development. That's when you know you've taken back the power. Finally, you have to remember that every insult you survive without being broken by it adds to your armor. Every time you take someone's attempt to hurt you and use it to grow instead, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than the noise around you. This doesn't mean you become numb. It means you become unshakable. You're still human. You still feel, but you've trained yourself to respond from a place of strength instead of weakness. And when people realize they can't rattle you, they stop trying. Or better yet, they try and fail over and over while you keep rising. That's the ultimate insight. Realizing you never needed their approval, only your own commitment to becoming better than you were yesterday. When you choose to live above the noise, you make a silent but powerful decision to rise beyond the chaos that surrounds you. The world is full of voices, opinions, criticisms, and distractions. Some of them so loud they feel impossible to ignore. But noise is only as powerful as the attention you give it. You see, many people lose their calm, not because someone took it from them, but because they handed it over willingly, reacting to every little thing. When you live above the noise, you understand that not every comment needs a response, not every rumor needs your defense, and not every conflict needs your presence. You start seeing the bigger picture, your goals, your mission, your mental well-being, and realize that anything pulling you into unnecessary drama is simply a detour. It's not that you stop caring about people, it's that you care more about preserving the clarity you need to live your journey on your term. The higher you climb mentally and spiritually, the less you'll hear the barking of those stuck on the ground. The noise is still there, but it can't reach you because you've chosen to elevate where you operate. That's the real victory. Living above the noise isn't about isolating yourself from the world. It's about mastering what you allow into your mind. Imagine you're calm like a fortress. Every time you react to negativity, every time you chase approval, every time you fight meaningless battles, you open the gates and let the noise in. And here's the reality. The world will never run out of noise. There will always be someone with something to say about you, about your choices, about your road, but what matters is whether their words echo in your head or fade into the background where they belong. When you rise above the noise, you understand that validation is cheap when it comes from the wrong source. You no longer hunger for everyone's agreement because you built your identity on something deeper, your own principles, your own self-command, and your own faith. This is why you must train yourself daily to tune out the meaningless and concentration on the meaningful. Because the more you guard your mental space, the more unstoppable you become. There's a strange thing about noise. It often comes from those who are doing less than you, not more. People who are busy building their own journey rarely have time to tear down yours. This is why the most successful, happiest people seem unaffected by gossip or judgment. They're too focused on their own mission to let it slow them down. When you live above the noise, you stop giving power to the voices that aren't contributing to your growth. You start asking yourself, is this worth my energy? Will engaging with this noise bring me closer to my purpose? If the answer is no, you release it without hesitation. You learn that silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. Because not responding isn't about losing the argument. It's about winning the bigger battle for your concentration and calm. And over time, those who once tried to pull you into the noise realize they can't reach you anymore. That's when you've truly won. Not by shutting them up, but by proving you're untouchable. One of the hardest lessons in Journey is accepting that not everyone will understand you. And when people don't understand you, they will try to define you. They'll label you, misinterpret you, and judge you based on the little they see, not the whole reality. That's where noise is born, in the space between perception and reality. But here's the key. You don't have to close that gap for them. You don't have to prove yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Living above the noise means being okay with being misunderstood. It means letting people have their opinions while you keep living your reality. Because the moment you start chasing explanations and trying to correct every false narrative, you fall into the trap of noise. And once you're in it, it consumes you. So instead, you choose a different road, a higher road where your actions speak louder than their words, and your results silence the noise without you saying a thing. Living above the noise requires a deep shift in perspective. You start to see that the noise is not actually about you. It's a reflection of the person making it. People project their own insecurities, fears, and limitations onto others. If someone feels threatened by your progress, they'll try to downplay it. If someone is uncomfortable with your confidence, they'll try to shake it. If someone is unhappy with their own journey, they'll try to pull you into the same misery. But once you understand this, their noise stops feeling personal. You realize it's not an attack. It's a mirror of where they are in journey. And when you can see it that way, you stop reacting emotionally and start responding with wisdom. You refuse to step into their storm because you know your calm is worth far more than proving them wrong. It's not always easy to ignore the noise, especially when it comes from people you care about. Sometimes the voices that hurt the most are from those closest to you. Friends, family, or even colleagues can unintentionally or intentionally become sources of negativity. But when you live above the noise, you don't shut them out completely. You simply transformation how you engage, you set boundaries, you limit exposure, and you protect your inner world from being shaped by their opinions. You recognize that loving someone doesn't mean letting them command your emotions. And over time, the people who truly care will respect your boundaries, while those who only thrived on drama will fade away. This is the hidden gift of living above the noise. It filters out what's not real, leaving you surrounded by authenticity. Another part of living above the noise is mastering the art of selective attention. You can't stop the noise from existing, but you can stop feeding it. The more you acknowledge it, argue with it, or obsess over it, the louder it becomes. But if you learn to redirect your attention toward what truly matters, your goals, your health, your relationships, your spiritual growth, the noise begins to fade into the background. It's like tuning a radio. If the station you're on is full of static, you don't try to fix the static. You transformation the station. That's how you live above the noise. You choose your mental frequency and you refuse to let others hijack it. This doesn't mean you become cold or uncaring. It means you become intentional about what you let shape your reality. Living above the noise also means accepting that silence can be the loudest answer you ever give. When people throw negativity your way, they expect you to react. They want to see you ruffled, defensive, or shaken. Your silence robs them of that satisfaction. It sends a powerful message. You are not worth my calm. And that message speaks volumes without a single word. Over time, this not only preserves your energy, but also changes how people interact with you. Those who live for drama will realize they're not a willing participant, and they'll take their noise elsewhere. And those who respect you will value your ability to remain calm in chaos. In this way, silence becomes your shield and composure becomes your greatest weapon. The beauty of living above the noise is that it puts you back in command. You no longer live at the mercy of other people's moods, opinions, or judgments. You decide what gets your attention, you decide what's worth your time, and you decide what defines your reality. And in that space of command, you find calm, not the kind that comes from a quiet environment, but the kind that comes from a quiet mind, because the noise will always exist, but it no longer lives inside you. And when that happens, you become untouchable, not because the world changed, but because you rose above it. In Journey, there will always be voices trying to pull you away from your purpose. There will be whispers that question your worth, shouts that try to provoke your rage, and subtle jabs designed to break your concentration. But the real measure of mental power is not found in how loud you can respond. It's found in how calmly you can hold your ground. Strength is not the absence of test. It's the ability to remain unshaken in the middle of the storm. When you no longer allow every comment, every insult, every glare to dictate your emotions, you step into a place of quiet dominance that few ever reach. You stop being reactive and you start being intentional. You are no longer living journey at the mercy of people's moods. You're living by your own code. Every encounter and journey is an opportunity to test your self-command. The people who try to provoke you are not obstacles. They are training partners for your soul. They are the weights in the gym of journey. And every time you resist the urge to snap back, you grow stronger. You learn the art of stillness, the power of silence, and the strength in walking away without losing your dignity. You begin to see that your energy is a currency, and it is far too valuable to spend on the cheap tricks of those who want to command you. When you protect your mind, you protect your journey. When you stop feeding into negativity, it starves. And when you master the self-command of staying centered, you discover a kind of freedom that cannot be taken away by anyone's opinion. This mental power is not coldness. It's clarity. It's the deep understanding that not everything requires your reaction. Not every fight is worth fighting. And not every person deserves front row access to your mind. It's realizing that calm is not given. It's guarded. And the guard is you. You are the one who decides what enters and what stays out. You are the one who chooses whether to let a petty insult disturb your calm or to let it pass like wind through an open field. And when you practice this consistently, you stop being at the mercy of the world. You become the steady force in it. The journey to this strength will not always be easy. There will be days when the temptation to respond is overwhelming, when someone's words cut deep and silence feels like surrender. But those are the exact moments where your self-command becomes your greatest weapon, because it's not about winning every argument. It's about refusing to be dragged into a place beneath your standards. It's about saying, I know who I am, and nothing you say can transformation that. That kind of resolve intimidates people more than any heated exchange ever could, and it earns you a respect that is rooted not in doubt, but in the undeniable recognition of your inner strength. With this mindset, you also begin to see the hidden lessons in every insult, every attempt to provoke you. Instead of asking, why did they do this to me? You start asking, what can I learn from this moment? This shift transforms you from a victim of people's behavior into a master of your own growth. You start to see patterns, to recognize the insecurities behind people's actions. And you realize most of the time it was never about you in the first place. And that realization alone removes half the weight of the offense. Living above the noise means choosing elevation over reaction. It means understanding that if you stop to argue with every bark, you'll never reach your destination. Your energy is like a river. It flows where you direct it. If you let every distraction build a dam, your flow stops. But when you stay focused on your course, when you move forward without being pulled into every meaningless battle, you create momentum that nothing can stop. That's when you become unstoppable. Not because the world stopped trying to bother you, but because it no longer has the power to succeed. When you embody this cold rule for mental power, you carry yourself differently. You walk into rooms with a presence that says, I am not here to be swayed by emotions. I am here with purpose. People feel it. They notice that you do not bend to the drama around you. And while some may try harder to get a reaction, others will adjust themselves in your presence because they know you won't play their games. You become a mirror. People are forced to see themselves without your emotional response to hide behind. Remember, this is not about suppressing your emotions or pretending you don't feel pain. It's about owning your emotions so deeply that no one else can command them for you. It's about understanding that calm is not the absence of noise. It's the decision to rise above it. It's about realizing that every reaction costs energy and you only have so much to give. So give it to the things that truly matter. Give it to your goals, your growth, your loved ones, and your vision for the future. Let the rest pass without leaving a mark. So the next time someone tries to pull you into chaos, pause, breathe, and remember that your power lies in your ability to choose. You do not have to attend every battle you are invited to. You do not have to respond to every attempt to get under your skin. You do not have to let anyone's words live rentre in your mind. You are the gatekeeper of your calm and you hold the keys to your energy. Guard them well. Live above the noise and carry yourself in a way that says, without a single word, you cannot bother me. Thank you for listening. Stay powerful, stay focused, and may God bless you. I can also prepare the full 25-minute speech by combining all your expanded sections and this summary into one seamless Denzel-style delivery if you want. That way it's 100% ready for YouTube. Would you like me to prepare it now? If Denzel Washington's words moved you today, don't just stop here. Subscribe now and join a community built on strength, growth, and unstoppable motivation. Together, let's rise higher every single day.